What is up, guys? Today we are going to be looking at the top 5 mages in ranked Joust. And just to show you guys that I do know what I'm talking about, I wanted to show you guys my borders. As you can see, I do have a purple border all around, so I'm definitely a trustworthy source when it comes to mages. But no, he's definitely not enough to be a mage player, but he is fun, but he's not going to be on the list. He's definitely not top 5 worthy. When it comes to mages, this list is going to be a lot harder than the top 5 hunter one. And by that I mean the building. I'm not the best mage player, nor do I play mages so often when it comes to ranked joust, but I did talk to some of my other GM friends who do indulge in some mage gameplay. So I do have a pretty decent list of builds and stuff that I'm going to be showing you guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. Before we start this though, there are a lot of good mages, like a lot. So narrowing it to top 5 was a little rough. Before we start the actual list, I do want to give some special mentions, and that's first mention is going to be Agni. This character is beautiful. He does everything you want in a mage. Really annoying 2-1 combination. You get like a long distance stun and then into his ult, which is his meteors, and just so much poke, so much damage, and such good CC. You can set up your other teammates for a lot of things. And another key thing I'm going to be mentioning a lot in this video is mages that can cast over walls, and this is one that does that very well. Probably one of the best. If anything, he should be in the top 5, but there are other mages that this actually, I want to say this list is very arguable, right? I think this is more opinionated than you think. Like, some people would pick other mages, but this is just my opinion on who I think are. And then the other mage that I want to mention before we get into the list is this one, Discordia. Again, over the wall abilities, great passive. The 2 is amazing on her too. If you hit that 2 on 2 or more people, like, you can really change a team fight and whatnot. Amazing ult, by the way. A lot of counters. I want to put a little secret counter for you guys, right? Fafnir, right? If you see an enemy having a Fafnir, this is kind of a good counter to him, right? Because if he ults and you time your ult perfectly, he's actually crippled. He doesn't know Discordia ult does cripple indeed. So she's really good with characters like a Bracken, for example. If your Bracken blinks, ults, stuns them and stuff, and your ult has disco, you can really disorient the enemy. It's a really good pickup. If all these other mages I'm about to mention are banned, you still have Agni and Discordia, and you still should be fine. I could also talk about Yuhuang Vulcan. There's so many good mages. Tiamat, Merlin, like, okay, they're not top 5 of course, but as I just spoiled. But so many good mages. This list could easily change depending on the person. But our 5th spot is going to be going to Morgan Le Fay, also known as MLF. Okay. So we're gonna get into her build. We should also talk about her like in general. All of her abilities are so annoying, and this is coming from a hunter player's standpoint, right? So, like, let's just talk about this ability first. Like, Sigil Mastery, like, either the one, I know when I face a lot of the really good Morgan Le Fays are able to use all 3: the slow, the clone, and the fear. And I know I do see a lot of people early on use the clone one, because I guess it's harder to kill the clone since you're early game and whatnot. But I think the fear alone is just so annoying. You know, it does so much and whatnot. And then you have the 2 also, the knock up. You just get CC'd. All this is so much CC. But this ability right here, I'm sorry, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I shouldn't be getting hit by this ability, but I do all the time. It's such a nasty ability. And the thing about it, it's tick damage, right? So items like Divine are super annoying on Morgan Le Fay because it keeps ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. But yeah, really good mage. When it comes to these builds, I'm gonna go through these a little fast, kind of. I do have some notes that I took from my friend that I was talking about this, but we're gonna hit her with this build, right? First, we're gonna go. Most of your mages are gonna get Sands of Time, right? There are probably some mages that go Conduit, but every mage in this build that I'm gonna share is gonna be going Conduit. So Sands of Time here, into a bow for sure. Bow, you're a mage, you want cooldown as much as you can. So, there's two routes that you can start with. My main mage player that I play with a lot likes to go the Deso route. So we're gonna start with Deso here, 2350 cheap item. You could go Chronos Pendant instead. It really depends on the way you want to play. And I think both are fine. I think both are fine. We're actually we're gonna do the Chronos Pendant build on her though, because we want as much cooldown as we get so we can spam our abilities, our annoying ass abilities, you know, that we have in our kit. So after the Chronos Pendant, we're gonna go with a Divine. Again, oh, one thing I want to say is a lot of these mage builds are very situational. Like you have to see what the enemy's playing and what they have. Double tank, healers, double squishy, all of that. You really need to be paying attention. So these builds will always be changing. This is just generic builds that I believe can work. But yeah, after the Divine, we're gonna be going straight into Opshard. Opshard is a crazy good item. You need the pen, especially in a double tank. And then after this, we're gonna be going Soul Reaver, another tanky. This is more of a tanky shred build. She procs this so well with her abilities very easily. And then we're gonna end it off with a Tahuti. Tahuti. Gives us also 10% more pen on our build, wherever it is. Okay. This you have the option of upgrading to a pendulum or a alternate timeline. I think the more popular option is alternate timeline. I can see a benefit of Morgan Le Fay using alternate timeline, especially if you go blink Morgan Le Fay, because there are people that go beads blink, but for the most part you're going to be going beads Aegis. But if you do decide to go the alternate timeline, getting blink isn't the worst idea, because blink is very good on Morgan Le Fay. You can start the fight out with a 2, the knock up into a fearless into a 3, and then you ult, and the other squishy is dead that you blink on. There's no stopping that, especially if the relics are down. But yeah, that is the Morgan Le Fay build, and funny enough, we're gonna be pretty much copying the same thing, the same build into our 4th spot, which is gonna be Raijin. Got recently buffed, and this character is annoying, very annoying. Beautiful passive. You can stack it before the game starts. You just keep sharing your abilities, get it to 4, and yeah, there's not much to talk about. His 1 is on a super low cooldown. Well, 10 seconds ain't that low, but with all the stuff he has in his kit. The 2 is really annoying. It bounces from target to target. It's a slow 2, 15%. 3 is awesome, silence, and then yeah, his new buff is that once you level the ult, you get attack speed or something. It's a weird buff, but it does make him a little better. Really good character, very spammy, like most of the characters in this list. But let's go to the build. I mean, like I said, the build is pretty much the same. I'm just gonna do the other build that I was talking about. Well, actually, no. On Raijin, you want to go that same build that I showed first. So Vow, send the time into a Chronos Pendant. I'm pretty much copying and pasting what we did. So yeah, you just want to be able to spam your abilities as much as possible. Be really annoying to the backliners and get them poked out for buffs and whatnot. But yeah, we'll go through this again. Soul Reaver for the win. The other gods that we're gonna talk about are gonna be more in depth with the builds. I'll talk about why you want to build items that you're building. But yeah, Soul Reaver, and then we're gonna end up with the Tahuti again. And you want to get the I didn't explain what glyph to get on the Tahuti in the last build, but I think it's the right one, the right Tahuti, the one with where the meteor falls. I'm pretty sure, or actually, don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Tahuti. This is the build that you want to do. For your most situations, right? I'm actually going to show you guys the other build that I'm kind of deflecting right now, because it's very playstyle dependent, this other build that I'm going to show at the end. But yeah, Raijin, beautiful character, good buff. We're going to be giving a 3rd place to Persephone, one of my most hated mages. I hate going against this chick. I will always ban her, and I never want to go against her. She's so annoying. Where to start? You max her 2 first of all, because you max your 2, your flowers in general do more damage, like the ones that you put on the ground. You do so much damage. It's so annoying. There's not enough space on the map to juke, so you're bound to get hit by something. And if you're a squishy, even the tanks are getting shredded by these flowers. Like a disgusting ult too. Sorry that I'm just bouncing around stuff, but God, This character is just something else. Okay, so good into traditional. If it's two backliners versus two backliners with one tank on each team, she excels. She excels as one of the best. Um, yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure what to build on Persephone though. I'm assuming it's just like the same build, the same build that I already showed on the other two. So pretty much just do that build, but the next two I'm going to show have different builds. So yeah, sorry about this one, but yeah, I think you guys get the picture with the mage builds. You really do have to pick and choose your items depending on matchups and stuff. If you guys want to ask me in the comments in specific situations, I could maybe help out in that category. But yeah, let's go on to number 2. Um, we're gonna be having this last patch, right before this patch. She was number 1, but now there's a new update. It's not because she got nerfed. She got nerfed a tiny bit with her ult. We're talking about Baba Yaga here. She lost some shields on her ult or something like that, which isn't the biggest deal. But the more important thing is the guy that got buffed, and I think we all know what we're talking about. But let's get into the Baba Yaga build. But before we talk about that, passive amazing. You this character, you can build so many stacking items and get away with it, unlike other mages. But with her, you get away with it so often. Her one, I think the most OP thing about her one is the silence field. If you get that silence field, you are cooking. You can catch people's dashes, stop them from doing stuff. It is an amazing build. This character does depend on RNG quite a bit, but if you master her, you can really kind of avoid that. Her 2, this is such an, you max ability in most cases because this is your poking ability. You have 2 of them. You can cancel and put one into your potion slot, and it's just so good. Such a good character for that. 3 can get canceled by a lot of characters such as Kabrakan. Kabrakan's kind of a good counter into her because even if you ult as Baba Yaga, he can ult you and keep you in there. So yeah, you should be picking up Kabrakan if you ever do let Baba Yaga through, and she will most likely be getting through most of your games because she's not a first round ban sometimes. But yeah, ult, beautiful shield, you're tanking in it, awesome. And now let's look at the build. This is a unique build for her though, okay? So for starters, you're getting Balgan, of course, recipe, cooldown, mage. This one, you do want to get Sands of Times, and you are going to be upgrading it to a alternate timeline. For sure, you want to be as tanky as possible on this character because you're getting another item that makes you tankier. So this first item slot, a lot of mage players play this differently. I'm going to use the build that my mage player gave me, but there are people that go Warlocks first, Charon's Coin, and stuff like that. But my mage player likes going Book of Thoth. Book of Thoth on this guy, or on this chick, and you do a lot of damage. You know, Book of Thoth, easily stackable with the house. Also, another thing to note about Baba Yaga, make sure you're moving the house because that's how you build up the stacks. If you're standing stationary, the house won't print you stacks. So that's something I learned when I played her. But yeah, after Book of Thoth, we're going Deso, cooldown, Pen, and the magical power. Just great solid item, cheap too. 2350 is very cheap for an item. And now this is where Baba Yaga gets unique. We're going to be going into a prophetic here, right? Defense? Why are we building defense? Are we losers? Yes, we are. This item is disgusting on her. I guess the house, again, stacks this item. Beautiful, beautiful item on her. 10% cooldown too, 100 health, making her even tankier. And just, yeah, once you get this fully stacked, which shouldn't take long with the house, and plus you have poking abilities, it's just a disgusting item. It's so hard for double tanks to dive you because you are so tanky with this. And next, we're going to be going Obshard. A lot of these builds do have Obshard because you do want 20% pen. And then the passive of this item is disgusting. Your first ability casts 20% magical penetration, which is really, really good. Oh yeah, it should be time. My friend did give me some notes to say. So Sands of Time was for cooldown. Thoth stacks fast, a lot of power, and infinite mana. Oh, I forgot to mention that. A lot of infinite mana with this, which a lot of these mages could run out of mana if you don't have the blue buff near you. This was for cooldown, of course. Prophetic's also for cooldown. Obshard, you get max pen, and then the last item is going to be Reaver for the tankage, for killing the tanks and whatnot. So, some characters that do get Santa time and turn it into a prophetic, or not prophetic, sorry, alternate timeline. Once the alternate timeline is used, you usually do sell the starter, but for Baba Yaga, you do want to keep it because it does give you more magical prots and physical prots, and you do want to just stay tanky as this character. But yeah, that is Baba Yaga. That is Baba Yaga. Still very good. And then I think we all knew who number 1 is gonna be, but it is Thoth. Thoth recently got a buff to his ult, making it do even more. So you are able to one-shot squishies with this ability, believe it or not. But yeah, what's there to say about his abilities? A really annoying one. It's pretty easy to hit on the Joust map because it is kind of narrow. Yeah, nice dash. He can get counterpicked. Again, I'm gonna talk about the Kabrakan pick. Kabrakan is quite the counter to him. If you do double tank and do it well, you are able to dive a Thoth, but really good Thoth players should be able to keep their distance and their awareness up, you know, seeing what people run. But the build that we're about to be talking about is a little different from the rest. And let's get into that. So, well, Bountiful Bow and Sands of Time, of course, you know, can't go wrong with that. We're going to be going Deso first. We're going to be going Deso for sure first on him. After the Deso, we're going to be picking up Divine. A lot of games you do need Divine because there is healing, like Chalice's Lifesteal, and there are just characters that do heal a lot, so you do want to get that online as soon as possible. After the Divine, we're going to get Opshard. We're going to be talking about these items after I build the whole thing. I got the notes down, my friend gave me. And this is a unique item for Thoth right here. We're going to be going Mirrodin. Because it's really, really good on his ultimate. And we'll be talking about that in a second. And then last item is going to be Soul Reaver again for the tank shred. But okay, so Mirrodin procs off Thoth ult, so the ult does 20% more damage. And then sometimes Reaver... Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so this item isn't always going to be Reaver. If they're double tank, you're going to go Soul Reaver, you know, of course, to shred the tanks. But if they're double back or double squishy, you're going to go Tahuti. So you're able to kill you're able to one-shot the backliners very much easily. Oh, and another thing about this item right here, guys. Opshard procs on every single Thoth one. So it's such an essential item on him. So make sure you grab Opshard. And another thing he wanted me to say was get Pendulum. He really does like Pendulum a lot more, especially on Thoth, right? You don't need alternate timeline because you don't need defense. You're not going to be in people's faces. And yeah, you really don't need the alternate timeline on Thoth, even though it is quite the clutch item. I've been in a lot of games where alternate timeline has won us the game, believe it or not. So it's just a thought, but it's really playstyle again at the end of the day. These are just the builds, generic builds that my player that I play with uses a lot. Now, one more thing before this video ends. I do want to show one build that could be better for your playstyle depending on the person that's playing it. I'll show it on Merlin because he's good with these items. But this is the tablet build, okay? Book tablet build. And so let's get right into it. So Sands of Time, Bow and Sands of Time, real quick. We're gonna be doing that every game. Can't go wrong with that. And we're gonna be starting tablet first before Book of Thoth. You want to get these items online as soon as possible so you can start stacking them, right? Pretty much if you make it to late game with these builds fully stacked, your mage can pretty much solo carry the game in most situations. But yeah, you do get punished early game by doing this build. So if you're not staying on par with the enemy, you could end up losing the game and never get your item stack. So you have to play really smart if your mage player is doing this build. So here, this third item is questionable, right? You can either go Breastplate if they have 2 physicals and you think you need the survivability, or you could go Chronos Pendant for the cooldown. So it really depends the game. We'll just build Chronos Pendant to do full damage, but don't sleep on defense for mages, guys. It's pretty valid. And then after that, we're gonna be going. Actually, don't know. Oh, duh, we're going Shard. It's always Shard. We need the pen for the tanks. Especially if we're in the breastplate build, if we do need more shred. So, Opshard. And then after that, Reaver. Reaver. Again, it's all about that tank shred, you know? But yeah, that is pretty much it. That's all I wanted to share today, guys. Yeah. This video is a little more complex for me to do than the top 5 hunters because, like I said, I'm not the best mage player. So hopefully that helped. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and see you later.